Next up, let's welcome Andrew Martin, President and Founder of Bluerithm. Andrew, the floor is yours.
Great. Thanks, Cassie. I appreciate everyone's time today. And I'm going to get my screen share going here and we can dive right in. All right. So hopefully this is working for everyone. Um, I'm Andy Martin. I'm the founder and president of the company. We've been at this now for 9 years, since 2016. So we've got a good history, a great stable customer base, and we've been growing every year since we started. So we're still having fun and still a lot more to do in this space. So I'm going to talk about what we do, how Bluerithm compares to other options out there in the market, and just try to give you at least enough to decide whether or not there's enough interest to schedule a call and learn a little bit more about how it might fit with your firm. So as you know, sitting here watching the presentations today, there are a lot of tools for commissioning and the commissioning process. Um, one way to create a simple mental framework around uh, a way to compare them is just thinking about the underlying design and just the ideas behind how they were set up initially when they were built. So on one end, and you can think of different types of software in the same way. So this isn't unique to commissioning. Um, but on one end of the spectrum, there's very what we would call prescriptive or opinionated software, meaning there's very tight swim lanes, so to speak, of how you can do certain things, what you can do, what you can't do. And as long as you're within those swim lanes, then it's fine. It may work great for you. On the other end of the spectrum, there's completely open-ended, flexible frameworks. So this is like Microsoft Access, Airtable, tools like that, where you can just build your own stuff. And even today, there's a lot more platforms out there that use AI and stuff where you can build your own apps. So um, where Bluerithm fits is uh, a little bit closer to the end of the spectrum here on being a flexible framework. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. There's pros and cons of each, of course. Pros over here on the left, and then cons, of course. There's limitations if you need the flexibility, and there's pros and cons of the other side too. So we like to think that Bluerithm fits about 2/3 of the way down towards the flexible end of the framework, meaning it's not completely open-ended. It's not the Wild West, but it's still able to adapt to the way you work, the types of projects you do, your client expectations, phasing, tracking, dependencies, and so on. Um, so that can be really helpful uh, while still offering the guidelines and the sort of swim lanes to keep the whole team on track, but done so in a way that you define is kind of the idea. So, you'll kind of catch on as you watch the different presentations, kind of, where the different platforms fit. So, really what does that mean in a practical sense? Bluerithm can be used for different scenarios beyond just your standard checklists and test forms and issues. Um, Obviously, it's great to get all of those things in the cloud, especially if you're working in, spreadsheets right now. There's benefits to adopting any of these platforms you'll see today. But for instance, like with Bluerithm, there's a project here that shows the different levels of commissioning in a data center project. So that's something unique to Bluerithm, or at least very easy to do in Bluerithm, where you can really construct any sort of phasing or workflow or process in your project that you want. And this can all be templatable as well. So um, it handles data centers really well. Other types of projects, complex industrial projects, energy sector. We have customers that are building multi-billion-dollar, mining processing facilities, energy processing facilities, labs, existing buildings and workflows. So this sort of concept just applies to all the different use cases that our customers encounter beyond just the standard checklist and test forms. Lots of flexibility, lots of good tools. The system's very easy to adapt and customize for for these different workflows and processes. All these tracking tools, these get created automatically after you've set up your templates and copy things into projects and import your equipment list. So minimal setup. And it's not just a platform for checklists and forms either. You can build all of your project management activities, your design phase activities, everything that you're really tracking, managing, performing, executing on the project. Bluerithm can handle all of that. You can build all of these different activities into the platform. There's some examples here of a custom test form. So you can add additional columns if you want to track certain things for different reasons. Um, beyond a standard, what we'd all kind of consider a standard functional performance test form. If you've got some additional data entry, you can add columns for that. You can create additional tables. You can embed formulas into the forms. So lots of options. And then this example here is just what this form would look like when it's exported from the report building tool. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Some more examples. There's text editing tools built into Bluerithm. So, when it comes time to create your final reports, you're not having to bounce between Microsoft Word and PDF editing tools and the report building tool. In Bluerithm, you do everything right in the software, which can also be templated. So, when you're setting up a project, you're just going down a list and cherry picking all the forms, equipment types, the reports, everything that you want to use, copying it in. There's lots of automation to adapt it then to the specific project you're using. So it makes it extremely simple to have a very standardized, repeatable, high quality process that can be maintained and executed across, even very large teams without having any inconsistencies in your delivery. Um, we've also been working on AI-enabled automation for several years now. So we've been refining some of these tools, and at this point we have a lot of stuff in the works, and we have a lot that we've released already. For example, we've been improving this tool that will generate complex functional tests and integrated systems test forms um, simply by taking a large sequence of operation. And by large, I mean it could be 5 pages long or more, and you can copy it right out of a PDF in all of its messy format with page numbers and headers and footers and everything. Drop it into the tool, and it'll split it apart, split it into all the different modes of operation, write the test procedures for all the modes of operation, and pull out all the key details like specific set points and everything that would be required for a comprehensive, thorough uh, test form for a given system or equipment, and basically serve it up to you and let you import it directly into the project without, some people use ChatGPT, but that's kind of cumbersome, just like, using Microsoft Word and then PDFing and pulling it into Report Builder. It's cumbersome working in ChatGPT or Claude, and copying it into a spreadsheet, importing it into your project. Um, and it's not designed for that. So we've designed the algorithms and using the correct models to develop these test procedures that are very specific and technical for this use. So that's something our customers are using very often these days. And there's a lot of other stuff that we have developed and are developing. And where we're going in the near future is kind of tying all this together where you're not just working on, let's say, one test procedure at a time. You're taking the entire all of the contract documents, the plans, the specifications, OPR, everything, and just loading it into the system. And the system's going to go through and pull it all apart, figure out what all the equipment types and system types are, figure out what your equipment list is, figure out what forms and checklists all the equipment needs, figure out what the workflow is. Is it a data center? Is it a simple warehouse? Is it a school? Some kind of plant? And basically build the project for you. So that's an iterative process. It's not just going to be a one and done sort of presentation there. If you guys are familiar with how there aren't a lot of good examples, I guess, but it's the concept of agentic AI, where the system acts as sort of a colleague essentially. It says, "Hey, I found these things. Does this look right?" I'm going to use this for this, or I see you have templates for this. So there's a lot that we can do these days with not just AI, but just better tools, better technology. Just the state of the industry really facilitates a lot of this. So we're really excited about what this means for the future of commissioning in the broader industry too. So definitely keep an eye out for some of these things. Here's just an example of one of these tools at work where it scans the drawings, finds a bunch of equipment, it puts links on the equipment, it puts the links on the drawings, and you can bounce back and forth between everything with no manual work. System does all of that. So that's just one example. Um, so getting started with Bluerithm, this is probably the biggest concern that most of our now customers had when we first started talking to them, and that we hear from people in general. um, it can be disruptive changing one of the core tools that your organization uses on a day-to-day basis. So we've spent a long time, over the course of 9 years now, developing a process that makes it very, very easy to adopt and deploy Bluerithm. So we've got it down to it's kind of an art form, I guess. I was going to say science, but very streamlined process where if you're wanting to go quickly, we can have you onboarded and ready to deploy the platform on new projects in 2 to 3 weeks. So that's not uncommon. Sometimes organizations can't go that fast. That's fine. We can go as fast as you want. But the point is, we do all of the heavy lifting for you up front so that um, you don't have to spend months understanding the system. Most of the time, and this goes for us too, when we buy new software, and we use dozens of different softwares in our company to automate things. When we buy it, we get access and maybe some examples and a link to a knowledge base, and they say good luck. And then we have to spend the time to figure out how it works and what the best ways are to represent our specific use cases and workflows, and it's time consuming. So what we've done is basically eliminate that process for new prospects, new customers, and we take all of the stuff that they've built up over years, sometimes decades, which can be interesting to look at. And we take all of that and we break it down and say, all right, this is how we suggest you implement this in Bluerithm, and we're going to do it for you. So we take on all of that work for our customers, take it off your shoulders, get it all set up, and then you're at the point where you can just, like I mentioned before, go down the list and cherry pick what you want from your templates, copy it into projects, import an equipment list, and you're off and running on a project. Um, so that's something that we're proud of and that we spend a lot of time on. And it's really just a white glove onboarding experience. The report building tool, like I mentioned, there's a lot of automation here too that sometimes you don't really think about, when you're seeing demos for a bunch of software, all the little things that you have to do on a day-to-day basis, even if there's some things that the software is automating and saving you time with, all the little things that you still have to do manually still add up to a lot of wasted time that you've spent doing admin stuff when you could be actually adding value for your clients, which they see, which they reward you with more work for then. So, the same example here where in Bluerithm, when you build a report in the report builder, it's complete. That's it. When it comes out, it's done. Table of contents is there. The bookmarks are there. The page numbers are there. Um, Commissioning plans, all the stuff you have to do in Microsoft Word right now, you can do right in the report building tool. And even some of the, not super time consuming, but still time consuming things like changing project names and report names. Um, the system will automate that. So you can copy this right out of your templates, and depending on how much project customization you need to do, it might be ready to go. We've got a lot of integrations already built. We just released another one actually that's not here. It's a maintenance management platform integration. So that's something that your owners are probably going to be pushing for pretty hard in some cases. And when they are, it's usually not a, hey, will you please do this? It's you have to do this to be involved in this project. So we've supported a lot of our customers on, real big, high scale, high visibility projects in building integrations and helping facilitate those things. So for example, importing equipment and assets directly out of a Revit model directly into Bluerithm. We have Procore integrations, ACC integrations, digital twins. We have a really robust API. So this is our V2 API that was released last year. Tons of endpoints. You can basically do everything that you want in Bluerithm that you can do in the user interface. You can do with the API. Um, so what that could actually mean for you as we get further down the road with, being able to easily build apps with AI, you can build your own apps and build it on top of the Bluerithm API. So there's all kinds of examples, but if you needed some really special workflow with your issues that really didn't make sense for anybody else but you could build a simple little app uh, with ChatGPT and just build it right on top of Bluerithm. And we take care of all that complexity and authentication and scalability and reliability and backups and all that stuff that takes some knowledge to manage. We've got an app, offline, online, um, works on iOS, Android, and Windows. So that's been out now. We've made dozens and dozens of releases on that. We're investing heavily in this moving forward as well. So it's a big part of the future for the platform. And there's a lot more. Smashed a lot into these quick presentations, and I'm over time now, and they're letting me know. So we're going to open it up to questions. We're giving away a free iPad Air, the latest model, and yeah, look forward to hearing the questions and hearing from you in the future if any of this is interesting.
All right, thank you, Andrew. So our first question in the chat is Bluerithm capable of pulling in manufacturer-specific startup checklists associated with actual lines of equipment?
I would say yes. I guess there's a lot of nuance there, and there's some different scenarios. So generally speaking, I would say yes. I mean, more than likely, the answer is yes.
All right. And has the Bluerithm enhancement process identified a way to automate extracting IO&M task and frequencies and organizing them in Excel for a submittal to owners' asset management or maintenance management teams?
That'll be something that's in one of the upcoming releases that we mentioned, where you can just feed all of this data, PDFs, O&Ms, plan specification into the system, and it'll pull that out. Not released today, but that's something that will be coming in the nearer term future.
All right, and last question real quick. Can you give any more examples of reports that Bluerithm can generate through automation and explain how those are produced?
Yeah, the report builder in Bluerithm is super customizable in terms of what you want to include in the report. So it's used for systems manuals, it's used for progress reporting. A lot of the dashboard information that I showed some screenshots of, you can include that in the report building tool. For very comprehensive progress reports, you can create live shareable dashboards in Bluerithm where you can just send your clients links. They click on them, pulls up a dashboard. So that, pretty much anything that's in your project or outside the project for that matter, if you just want to, pull in some external PDF files, you can build that with the report builder in Bluerithm.